He's at the 20. He's at the 10. He's scored. Touchdown, Charles August Waterfield.
On any Sunday, you'll find the greatest players in football teeing it up here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Today, one of the best new talents around will coach a team of Hall of Fame All-Stars against one of the greatest teams in pro football history. NFL Hall of Fame football is on the air.
Can you believe it? The Pro Football Hall of Fame. The ultimate achievement in any man's pro football career. Each of the enshrinees in this hall excelled at their chosen position. But more than just making great plays, each of the men honored here helped shape pro football into the great game it is today. Now, Coach, I almost forgot. We're here for a reason, aren't we? It's time to consider who you want on your Pro Football Hall of Fame dream team. I don't envy you at all this talent. Who would you pick first? But that's the fun of it, isn't it? Sammy Baugh was the first-round pick of the Washington Redskins in 1937. Slingin' Sammy won 3 passing titles and played a major role in the offensive evolution of pro football. Baugh, who was All-NFL 6 times, played both offense and defense in the first half of his career. In 1943, he led the NFL in passing, punting, and interceptions. A terrific passer, he threw for 21,886 yards and 186 touchdowns. He was also the NFL's finest punter. His 45.1 career average is still an NFL record. A big play quarterback who led the Pittsburgh Steelers to victories in Super Bowls 9, 10, 13, and 14, Bradshaw was the #1 pick in the 1970 NFL Draft. His passing performances earned him MVP honors in both Super Bowl 13 and 14. In addition to his Super Bowl wins, Terry also led the Steelers to 8 Central Division titles. Bradshaw, who called his own plays, was All-Pro or All-AFC 3 times, played in 2 Pro Bowls, and was the 1978 AFC Player of the Year. His career passing stats include 2,025 completions for 27,989 yards. Len Dawson was the Steelers' #1 pick in the 1957 draft. Len led the Dallas Texans in 1962 and the Chiefs in 1966 and 1969 to AFL titles and a Super Bowl IV victory. Dawson won 4 AFL passing crowns. He was MVP in Super Bowl IV, played in 5 AFL All-Star games and the 1972 Pro Bowl. A pinpoint passer, he completed 2,136 passes for 28,711 yards and 239 touchdowns. He also rushed for 1,293 yards and 9 touchdowns. Otto Graham was a college tailback. But as a T-formation quarterback in the pros, he guided the Cleveland Browns to 10 division or league crowns in 10 years. He topped AAFC passes 4 years and the NFL for 2 years. Graham was an all-league choice 9 out of 10 years. In the 1950 NFL title game, he threw 4 touchdown passes to defeat the Rams 30-28. His finest title game performance came 3 years later when he scored 3 touchdowns and threw for 3 more in a 56-10 win over the Lions. Graham completed 1,464 passes for 23,584 yards and 174 touchdowns. Bob Griese joined the Miami Dolphins in 1967 as their #1 draft choice. Griese led Miami to 3 AFC titles and Super Bowl 7 and 8 wins. The Super Bowl VII victory gave the 17-0 Dolphins the only perfect season in pro football history. Griese was named the NFL Player of the Year in 1977 and was All-Pro in 1971 and 1977. He played in 2 AFL All-Star games and 6 Pro Bowls. Because of serious eyesight problems, Bob became the first quarterback to successfully wear eyeglasses in NFL action. Kenny Herbert joined the Green Bay Packers as a 20-year-old rookie. He threw a touchdown pass in his first pro game. He was an exceptional long passer. He teamed with Don Hutson for the first great pass-catch combo. Arnie was the NFL's passing leader in 1932, 1934, and 1936. He quarterbacked 4 Packers title teams. He came out of retirement in 1944 to lead the Giants to an NFL Eastern crown. His lifetime passing stats are 487 completions, 8,033 yards, and 79 touchdowns. Sonny Jurgensen was an exceptional passer and superb team leader. He played 18 seasons for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins, during which time he passed for 32,224 yards and 255 touchdowns. In spite of numerous injuries, Sonny surpassed 3,000 yards passing in a season 5 times. He threw for more than 300 yards in 25 games and more than 400 yards in 5 games and won 3 NFL passing titles. During his 15 years with the Bears, Bulldogs, Lions, and the Steelers, Bobby Layne was best known as a quarterback who would come through under pressure. Bobby led the Lions to 4 divisional and 3 NFL titles. In the 1953 title game, Layne had his finest performance when in just 60 seconds he drove 80 yards to score a 17-16 victory over Cleveland. Bobby also kicked field goals and led the league in scoring in 1956 and was all-league in 1952 and 1956. The greatest athlete I've ever coached was how the great Bear Bryant described Joe Namath, the first-round draft pick and 1965 Rookie of the Year. In 1968, he gained almost every honor possible en route to leading the Jets to the Super Bowl championship, a feat he brashly predicted as odds makers scoffed. Other than that year, Broadway Joe had his ups and downs, but was consistently able to produce a win. Namath's last year was spent in Los Angeles with the Rams, who finished the year 10-4 with a division championship. Roger Staubach was the 1963 Heisman Trophy winner from Navy. Noted for last-minute heroics, he guided the Cowboys to their most successful years. He led Dallas to 23 fourth-quarter come-from-behind victories and won 4 NFL passing titles, leading the Cowboys to 4 NFC titles and Super Bowl VI and VII victories. He was Super Bowl VI MVP, All-NFC 4 times, and played in 4 Pro Bowls. His career stats include 22,700 yards and 153 touchdowns passing, and 2,264 yards and 20 touchdowns rushing. In 1961, Fran Tarkington was almost an instant star with 4 touchdown passes in his first game as a pro. From 1973 to 1978, Minnesota with Tarkington at quarterback enjoyed a 62-22-2 record and advanced to the Super Bowl 3 times. Fran leads lifetime passes with 6,467 attempts, 3,686 completions, 47,003 yards, and 342 touchdowns. Tarkington gained a great deal of his notoriety for his scrambling style. He rushed for 3,674 yards and 32 touchdowns. He was a 4-time All-NFL choice and a Pro Bowl selection 9 times. Y.A. Tittle was the AAFC Rookie of the Year with the Baltimore Colts in 1948. Yat joined the 49ers in 1951 after the Colts team folded. Though he excelled for both the Colts and the 49ers, it is for his years with the Giants that he is best remembered. Tittle led the Giants to divisional titles in 1961, 62, and 63. When he retired after the 1964 season, his jersey, number 14, was retired. Tittle was the NFL's most valuable player in 1961 and 63. He was All-NFL in 1957, 62, and 63, and played in 6 Pro Bowls. Norm Van Brocklin was the Rams' number 4 draft pick in 1949. Since the Rams already had future Hall of Fame quarterback Bob Waterfield, Norm Van Brocklin saw limited action his rookie year. In 1950, Van Brocklin played in 2nd and 4th quarters, while Waterfield played the 1st and 3rd quarters. Still, Van Brocklin led the league in passing in 1950, 52, and 54. In 1951, Norm set an NFL mark, passing 554 yards in a single game. In 1958, he was traded to the Eagles. In 1960, he led the Eagles to an NFL title and was named MVP. Bob Waterfield was the Cleveland Rams' #3 draft pick. In 1945, he was the NFL's MVP as a rookie. His 2 touchdown passes keyed the Rams' 1945 title win. Waterfield was All-NFL 3 times and an NFL passing champ twice. He even played defense his first 4 years and intercepted 20 passes. His career stats include 11,849 yards, 98 touchdowns passing, 315 PATs, 60 field goals, and a 42.4-yard punting average. A Phi Beta Kappa scholar, Battles began his pro football career with the Boston Braves in 1932. The Braves, renamed the Redskins, moved to Washington in 1937. Cliff led the NFL in rushing as a rookie with the Braves in 1932 and again with the Redskins in 1937. In his short 6-year career, Battles rushed for 3,542 yards. He was an All-NFL choice in 1933, 36, and 37. In 1933, he became the first back to gain more than 200 yards in one game. Battles retired following the 1937 season after his salary was frozen at $3,000. As a running back, Jim Brown was in a class by himself. Even though he retired after just 9 seasons, he amassed 12,312 yards rushing. Cleveland's #1 draft pick in 1957 and the NFL's Rookie of the Year, Brown was All-NFL 8 out of 9 years with the Browns. He was MVP in 1958 and 1965 and was invited to the Pro Bowl every year of his pro career. As exceptional as his rushing totals are, his durability may have been even more amazing. Despite the constant pounding he received, Jim Brown never missed a game. Consensus All-American and Heisman Trophy winner in 1977, Earl Campbell was the first player taken in the 1978 NFL Draft. In his rookie season, he was named MVP, All-Pro, and Rookie of the Year. In his 8-season career with the Oilers and Saints, he rushed for 9,407 yards and 74 touchdowns. His 1,934-yard rushing total in 1980 is the 3rd best ever. That same year, he gained over 200 yards in a record 4 games. A 5-time Pro Bowl pick, he led the NFL in rushing in 1978, 79, and 80. Larry Zonka was Miami's #1 draft pick in 1968. He led the Dolphins to championships in Super Bowls 7 and 8. Zonka was a 3-time 1,000-yard rusher. He was All-AFC 3 times and picked for 5 Pro Bowls. He rushed for 112 yards in Super Bowl 7. He rushed for a then-record 145 yards in Super Bowl 8 and was named MVP. Larry's career stats include 8,081 yards rushing, 106 receptions, and 68 touchdowns. Tony Dorsett was the #1 draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys in 1977. The former Heisman Trophy winner played in 2 Super Bowls, 5 NFC Championship games, and 4 Pro Bowls. He was All-NFL in 1981 and NFC rushing champion in 1982. He ran for 12,739 yards and made 398 receptions for 3,544 yards. He scored 90 touchdowns and ran for a record 99-yard touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings in 1983. Bill Dudley was Virginia's first All-American and the #1 draft pick of the Steelers in 1942. Small, with a slow and orthodox style, he was exceptionally versatile and efficient as a halfback with the Steelers, Lions, and the Redskins. Bill was an All-NFL choice in 1942 and 1946. He won the NFL's rare Triple Crown, rushing, interception, and punt return titles in 1946 and was named the league's MVP. During his career, he gained 8,147 combined net yards, scored 484 points, and had 23 interceptions. Frank Gifford was an All-American at USC and the #1 draft pick of the New York Giants in 1952. Gifford starred on both offense and defense. He was All-NFL 4 years, NFL Player of the Year in 1956, and played in 7 Pro Bowls as a defensive back, halfback, and flanker. He led the New York Giants to a league championship in 1956. His career totaled 9,753 combined yards, including records with 3,609 yards rushing, 367 pass receptions, and 484 points. In 1972, the Pittsburgh Steelers named Franco Harris their #1 draft pick. He was All-Pro in 1977 and All-AFC 3 times. He was in 8 Pro Bowls. In Super Bowl IX, he was MVP with 158 yards rushing against the Vikings. He surpassed 1,000 yards rushing in 8 seasons, including his rookie season, a feat that only 5 other rookies have accomplished. He rushed for 100 yards or more 47 times. His career totals include 12,120 yards and 91 touchdowns rushing, 2,287 yards and 9 touchdowns receiving, 14,622 combined net yards and 1,556 yards rushing in 19 postseason games. The #2 draft pick of the Steelers in 1953, John Henry began his career with the 49ers in 1954 after a year in Canada, where he was the CFL's MVP. He completed the 49ers' $1 million backfield with future Hall of Famers Hugh McElhaney, Joe Perry, and Y.A. Tittle. A powerful runner and blocker, Johnson also played for the Lions and Oilers, but had his best years with the Steelers, where he surpassed 1,000 yards rushing twice and was selected for 3 Pro Bowls. Ollie Matson was an All-American at San Francisco University and a United States Olympic medal winner in track in 1952. He was also the #1 draft pick for the Chicago Cardinals. During his career, he was All-NFL 4 years and played in 5 Pro Bowls. Career stats include 12,844 combined net yards, 5,173 yards rushing, 222 pass receptions, 438 points, and a record 9 touchdowns on punt and kickoff returns. He was the MVP of the 1956 Pro Bowl. In his first pro game, George McElhaney returned a punt 75 yards for a touchdown. From then on, the Bears' #1 draft pick of 1940 was respected as a big play threat. A two-way performer, George could do it all. He ran, passed, caught passes, and was one of history's finest punt returners. His 12.8-yard return average was a long-time NFL record. George also pioneered the use of low-cut shoes. An All-NFL choice in 1941, McAfee's career was interrupted by military service in 1942. He returned to the Bears in 1945 for 6 more seasons. Hugh McElhaney was an All-American at Washington University. He was drafted #1 by the San Francisco 49ers in 1952. He scored a 40-yard touchdown on his first pro play. His first season, he was All-NFL and Rookie of the Year. McElhaney played in 6 Pro Bowls and was the MVP of the 1958 Pro Bowl. His career stats included 11,375 combined net yards, and records included 5,281 yards rushing, 264 pass receptions, and 360 points. McElhaney was nicknamed the King. Lenny Moore was the #1 draft choice of the Baltimore Colts and Rookie of the Year in 1956. All-NFL 5 times, he played in 7 Pro Bowls and was Comeback Player of the Year in 1964. His career stats included 11,213 combined net yards, 5,174 rushing, 363 receptions, 113 touchdowns, and 678 points. He scored touchdowns in a record 18 straight games. Marion Motley was a vital part of the Browns' dominant teams of the 1940s and 50s. A linebacker as well as a fullback his first 2 seasons, Marion was the leading rusher in the 4-year history of the AAFC and the NFL rushing champ in 1950. A powerful runner, Marion was also a devastating pass blocker and a key element of the Browns' famed trap play. During his career, Marion was named All-AAFC 3 times and All-NFL in 1950. He rushed for 4,720 yards, averaged 5.7 yards per carry, caught 85 passes, and scored 234 points. Walter Payton was the first-round draft pick of the Chicago Bears in 1975. He was All-Pro 7 times and played in 9 Pro Bowls. Payton is the all-time leader in rushing and combined net yards. Career stats include 16,726 yards, 110 touchdowns rushing, 492 pass receptions, 21,803 combined net yards, and 125 total touchdowns. Payton holds the single-game rushing record of 275 yards and had a remarkable 77 games with 100 yards or more rushing. The first-round draft pick of the Bears in 1965, Gale Sayers was an instant sensation in the NFL. In his first preseason game, he raced 77 yards on a punt return, 93 yards on a kickoff return, and threw a 25-yard left-handed scoring pass. In his rookie season, he amassed 2,272 combined net yards and scored a record 22 touchdowns, including 6 in one game. In a relatively brief injury-plagued 7-year career, Sayers was All-NFL 5 times and Player of the Game in 3 Pro Bowls. Gale was the youngest player ever elected to the Hall of Fame. Steve Van Buren was the Eagles' first-round draft pick in 1944. He was named All-NFL as a rookie and 4 more times in his first 6 seasons. He surpassed 1,000 yards rushing twice. He won 4 NFL rushing titles, and in 1945, he achieved the rare Triple Crown for leading in rushing, scoring, and kickoff returns in the same season. In the 1948 NFL title game, he rushed for 98 yards and scored the game's only touchdown. In the 1949 NFL title game, he rushed for a then-record 196 yards as the Eagles won their second consecutive title game by shutout. John Mackey was the number 2 draft pick of the Baltimore Colts in 1963. He was the prototype tight end with breakaway speed, ability to avoid tackles, and a strong blocker. Mackey scored 6 touchdowns on passes over 50 yards while amassing career stats that included 331 catches, 5,236 yards, and 38 touchdowns. He was 3 times All-NFL and played in 5 Pro Bowls. His biggest Super Bowl moment came when he caught a deflected pass for a 75-yard touchdown in Super Bowl V. Known as Bambi for his smooth and graceful moves, Lance Alworth was the first superstar of the American Football League. His accomplishments are legendary. His 542 career receptions netted 85 touchdowns. He caught at least 1 pass in all 96 of his AFL games. Now, after drafting him in the second round in 1962, the Raiders traded Alworth to the Chargers. There, he was All-AFL 7 years and a unanimous choice for the all-time AFL team. Selected by Oakland in the second round of the 1965 AFL draft, Fred Biletnikov caught more passes and scored more touchdowns than any other Raider in history. An All-AFL AFC choice 4 times and the 1971 NFL receiving champion, Fred had excellent hands, fluid moves, and deceptive speed. He played in 2 AFL All-Star games, 4 Pro Bowls, and 2 Super Bowls. As the ultimate possession receiver, Biletnikov's career was highlighted by an MVP performance in Super Bowl XI when he caught 4 passes during key scoring drives. Crazy Legs Hirsch led the College All-Stars upset of the Rams in 1946. In 1949, after 3 uneventful years as a halfback with the AAFC Chicago Rockets, he became a part of the Rams' revolutionary 3-end offense. Hirsch mixed sprinter speed with halfback elusiveness. He was known as a lethal long-range scorer from the flanker position. He led the NFL in receiving and scoring in 1951. In that same year, 10 of 17 touchdown catches he made were long-distance bombs. His career stats include 387 receptions for 7,029 yards and 60 touchdowns. First player to be signed by the New York Titans in the new AFL in 1960, Don Maynard caught 72 passes that season. He caught more than 50 passes and surpassed 1,000 yards receiving in 5 different seasons. Starting in 1965, Don teamed with Jets quarterback Joe Namath to provide a very talented pass-catch combination. He finished his career with a then-record 633 receptions for 11,834 yards and 88 touchdowns. Maynard played in all 3 AFL All-Star games and was named to the all-time AFL team. Charlie Taylor began his pro career in 1964 as a Rookie of the Year running back with the Redskins. He was shifted to wide receiver in his 3rd season. In his first start as a full-time receiver, he caught 8 passes for 111 yards. He wound up the season as the NFL's top pass catcher with 72 receptions. He led the league in receiving again in 1967. Charlie caught 50 or more passes in 7 seasons. Taylor was all NFL or NFC 3 times and played in 8 Pro Bowls. He retired in 1977 as the lifetime leading receiver with 649 receptions. Paul Waterfield began his career in 1964 as the first-round draft pick of the Browns. Before his 1970 trade to Miami, he was an important part of the Cleveland offense. With the Dolphins, he played in 4 NFL championships, 3 AFC title games, and Super Bowls 6, 7, and 8. After 5 seasons with Miami and 1 in the WFL, Paul returned for 2 seasons in Cleveland. Sure-handed and quick, Paul was also an excellent blocker. He caught 427 passes for 8,565 yards and 85 touchdowns. He was named to 8 Pro Bowls and was all NFL 5 times. A 2-time All-American at the University of Alabama, John Hannah was the first-round pick of the New England Patriots and a 4th player selected in the 1973 NFL Draft. He was known as the game's premier guard in his 13 seasons with the Patriots. Hannah was named All-Pro 10 straight years and won the NFL Players Association's Offensive Lineman of the Year award 4 consecutive years, from 1978 through 81. Stan Jones, a 2-way lineman from the University of Maryland, played 13 seasons in the NFL, the first 12 with the Chicago Bears, and in 1966 with the Washington Redskins. Jones began his pro career as an offensive tackle. The following year, he was switched to guard, where he excelled for the next 8 seasons, earning all NFL acclaim in 1955, 56, 59, and 60. In 1962, it was decided that with his size and intelligence, Stan could also help at defensive tackle. That season, he played both ways and moved to defensive tackle permanently in 1963. Jim Parker was the first full-time offensive lineman named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was a 2-time All-American and Outland Trophy winner at Ohio State. In 1957, he was the Baltimore Colts' #1 draft choice. An exceptional blocker, he specialized in protecting the quarterback. Jim divided his career almost evenly between left tackle and left guard. He was all NFL 8 straight years from 1958 to 65 and played in 8 Pro Bowl games. The first modern-era guard to be elected to the Hall of Fame, Gene Upshaw was the Raiders' #1 pick in 1967. He won the regular left guard job as a rookie and played in 307 pre-, regular, and postseason games during his 15-year career. Gene possessed size, speed, intelligence, intensity, and exceptional leadership ability. He was extremely effective in leading sweeps. Gene was all AFL AFC 8 times, played in 10 AFL AFC title games, 3 Super Bowls, the 1968 AFL All-Star Game, and 6 Pro Bowls. In 1968, Art Shell was the Raiders' #3 draft choice. His size, speed, agility, intelligence, and strength made him a premier offensive tackle. For 15 seasons, he earned the admiration and respect of his teammates. Art was equally adept at running and passing plays. He and his left guard running mate Gene Upshaw formed an awesome blocking unit. In Super Bowl XI, Shell completely shut out Vikings defensive end Jim Marshall, not allowing him any tackles. Art was All-Pro or All-AFC 6 times and played in 8 Pro Bowls. Doug Atkins, an exceptionally strong and agile player, gained legendary acclaim as a devastating pass rusher. This All-American at Tennessee, who often leapfrogged over blockers to get the passes, was drafted in the first round in 1953 by the Cleveland Browns. Traded to the Bears in 1955, Atkins was All-NFL 3 times and an 8-time Pro Bowl choice. In 1967, after 12 seasons with the Bears, Doug was traded to the expansion New Orleans Saints, where he excelled for 2 final seasons. Deacon Jones was an obscure 14th-round draft pick of the Rams in 1961. He was among the first of the fast, tough, and mobile defensive linemen. He was known for his clean but hard-hitting play. Jones specialized in quarterback sacks, a term he invented. He was innovative, quick-thinking, and flamboyant. He was unanimous All-League 6 straight years, from 1965 through 70, and played in 8 Pro Bowls. He was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 1967 and 68. Gino Marchetti began his career with the Dallas Texans. After one season, the Texans folded and Gino's contract was assigned to the Baltimore Colts. There, he terrorized opposing quarterbacks for 11 seasons before retiring in 1964, only to return for 4 games in 1966. Gino was selected to play in 11 straight Pro Bowls and was an All-NFL 7 times, from 1957 through 62, and again in 1964. Although best known for his vicious pass rush, he was an all-around brilliant defender. Art Donovan was the first player from the Baltimore Colts to be elected to the Hall of Fame. After World War II Marine service, Art played football at Boston College. He began his NFL play as a 26-year-old rookie with the Baltimore Colts in 1950. Art was an All-NFL choice 1954 through 57. He played in 5 straight Pro Bowl games in the mid-50s and was a vital part of Baltimore's climb to powerhouse status. Bob Lilly was the Cowboys' first ever draft choice in 1961, first Pro Bowl pick in 1962, first All-League in 64, and first Hall of Famer in 1980. He became the foundation of the great Dallas defensive units due to his unusual speed, strength, intelligence, and recovery ability. Opposing teams would often double and triple team him in an attempt to stop his pass rush in pursuit of ball carriers. Bob was All-NFL NFC for 8 years and named to 11 Pro Bowls. He played in 5 NFL NFC title games and 2 Super Bowls. He missed just 1 game in 14 years. The San Francisco 49ers joined the NFL in 1950 after 4 seasons in the rival AAFC. That year, Leo Nomalini became the 49ers' first ever NFL draft choice. An excellent defensive pass rusher and powerful offensive blocker, the Lion became one of the few players ever to be selected to an All-NFL team both on offense and defense. He was named All-NFL 6 times, twice on offense and 4 times on defense. Nomalini possessed size, speed, agility, and aggressiveness. He was named to 10 Pro Bowls and never missed a game during his 14-year career. Merlin Olsen was an All-American, Outland Trophy winner, and Phi Beta Kappa at Utah State. In 1962, he was the Rams' #1 draft choice. He became a starter in the 3rd game of his rookie season and went on to win the league's Rookie of the Year honors. A stabilizing leader of the famed fearsome foursome defensive line, Olsen was not only big and fast, but agile and smart. He was named to a record 14 straight Pro Bowls. From 1966 to 70, Merlin was All-NFL, and in 1973, All-NFC. Olsen played in 198 consecutive games during his 208-game career. Chuck Bednarik was the Eagles' bonus draft pick in 1949. He was the NFL's last Iron Man star. He continued to play center on offense and linebacker on defense long after the 60-minute player had disappeared. All-NFL 8 times, Chuck played in 8 Pro Bowls. In 1960, at the age of 35, he played 394.5 minutes in a 12-game season. He finished the season with a 58-minute performance capped by a game-saving tackle with just seconds to play in the Eagles' title game win over Green Bay. Selected by the Bears in the first round of the 1965 draft, Dick Butkus was All-League his rookie year. An exceptional defensive star, Dick possessed speed, strength, and tremendous instinct. Butkus was named All-League 7 times and played in 8 straight Pro Bowls. During his 9-year career, he accumulated 47 takeaways, 22 on interceptions, and 25 on fumble recoveries. Ted Hendricks was a second-round draft pick of the Baltimore Colts in 1969. By mid-season, he won the starting right linebacker job. In a long career that took him from Baltimore to Green Bay and then to the Raiders, he played in 215 straight games until his retirement in 1983. In 15 years, he blocked 25 field goals or extra points. He recovered 16 opponents' fumbles, intercepted 26 passes, and recorded 4 safeties. Intensely competitive, Ted was All AFC 7 times, All NFC once, All Pro 4 times, and played in 8 Pro Bowls. Jack Lambert was a second-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the prototype middle linebacker, intense, intelligent, fast, and durable. For 11 years, he was a central figure in Pittsburgh's steel curtain defense, which played a key role in the Steelers' 6 AFC title games and 4 Super Bowl victories. During his career, Jack intercepted 28 passes and recovered 15 opponents' fumbles. He was a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro 7 times, and played in 9 straight Pro Bowls from 1975 through '83. Lem Barney was a second-round draft pick and Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Detroit Lions in 1967. Barney set career marks for interceptions. He was mesmerizing when returning kicks and could punt in an emergency. Career stats included a record 1,079 yards on 56 interceptions, 1,313 yards on punt returns, 1,274 yards on kickoff returns, and 11 defensive touchdowns. Barney played in 7 Pro Bowls and was All NFL NFC 3 times. The Pittsburgh Steelers' 3rd-round draft pick in 1970, Mel Blount was the prototype cornerback of his era. A superior athlete with great speed, intelligence, and strength, Mel played in 200 of a possible 201 regular season games. Blount was the 1975 NFL Defensive MVP, All-Pro 3 times, went to the Pro Bowl, and owns 4 Super Bowl rings. In Super Bowl IX, he intercepted a pass at the goal line to kill a Viking scoring threat. Blount had 57 interceptions for 736 yards and 2 touchdowns, as well as 13 opponents' fumble recoveries during his 14-year career. Undrafted and cut by the Oilers, Willie Brown joined the Broncos in 1963. A starter 6 games into his rookie season, Willie was named All-AFL in 1964. In 1967, he was traded to the Raiders. He anchored the Raiders' secondary for 12 seasons and was regarded as the greatest cornerback ever. Most remembered for his 75-yard interception return in Super Bowl XI, Brown had a total of 54 interceptions in regular season and 7 more in postseason games. Willie was All-League 7 times, selected to 5 AFL All-Star games, and 4 AFC NFC Pro Bowls. After 4 years in the Army, Night Train Layne joined the Rams as a free agent in 1952. A gambler on the field who made spectacular plays, Layne was known as a deadly open-field tackler. Fast, agile, and aggressive, he intercepted a record 14 passes as a rookie, a record that still stands. Dick was traded to the Cardinals in 1954. 6 years later, he was sent to the Lions, where he enjoyed his finest years. He was All-NFL 5 times and selected to 6 Pro Bowls. Kansas City Chiefs drafted Jan Stenerud in the 3rd round of the AFL's 1966 draft. Stenerud excelled for 19 seasons, first with the Chiefs, then the Green Bay Packers, and with the Minnesota Vikings. Stenerud is the first pure place kicker to enter the Hall of Fame. With 1,699 points, he ranks second only to George Blanda in all-time scoring. Stenerud scored 100 or more points in a record-tying 7 seasons and kicked 17 field goals over 50 yards. His 373 career field goals are an all-time high.